guys, I'm Glitter Valkyrie, and today we're going to try to plus 10 Legendary Claude. I only need 3 more copies to get him to plus 10, and I'm really hoping that we can do it today, and maybe get a Legendary Myrrh in our journey. So we will talk about these characters as we go along, but let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I think that our plan for today is going to be to snipe colorless whenever we can, because I really want to maximize my chances of getting that plus 10 Claude. I think that he is my favorite legendary in the entire game. I just love his design, and he's so incredibly powerful, and I just get so much joy out of using him that getting those final couple copies would be so nice. I do have his 2 other forms at plus 10, and it would be really nice to complete the trio until they give us another one. So I'm really hoping that we can get maybe 2 copies here and Spark for the last one, because I'm totally fine using the Spark on him. So I'm really hoping that we get those copies, but if we don't have colorless, I think that I would prefer blue over green if we could, but obviously that won't always be the case. But I would love to get a copy of Legendary Myrrh because I am a huge Sacred Stones fan. She's probably one of my favorite mana keys. I think she's adorable, and I love what they did with this legendary form. I think that the art is absolutely beautiful, and she takes some of the things from her previous iterations, but still makes herself different, and I just think she's going to be super useful. So for all those reasons, I'd love to get her too. But she also shares with amazing units. Sheeta is a character that I feel like people never talk about, but she is absolutely amazing, and I would love to get merges for mine. Mine is completely unmerged because I did have to Spark for her. And she also shares with female Byleth, who's also super strong and has really good skills as well. So both of those I think I have unmerged because they were Sparks, so I'd be super happy with them too. And in terms of the other characters in colorless, I think that they're also both pretty good sharing with Claude. I'd actually be super happy to get a Bramamond because I tried for like almost a year to get my first copy for him. I don't know why, but he like always refused to come home, and I always wanted to make like an FE7 theme team, so I think that he fits really nicely into that. And so the one that I do have has really bad IVs, so I would love to get maybe a merge for him today. And I've talked about Joshua many times before. I love the character. I have his like regular version at plus 10, and I love some merges for my Ascended one. I think he has some of the best art in the game, so I'd be super happy with that too. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for with those colors, and if we don't have those colors, I think we would go green because it does have male Byleth. But outside of male Byleth, there's really nobody that I want in that color, so hopefully we have our 2 desired colors first. And there's also really nobody that I want in red, so hopefully we don't get a circle full of reds. But I guess that does cover everybody on the banner, so there is one other thing that I wanted to talk about before viewer questions, and that was just a big thank you for a channel milestone. I have officially been doing this for 4 years now. It feels kind of crazy to say. And we also hit the milestone of 9,000 subscribers. And oh my gosh, you guys, I never thought that I would still be, oh my goodness. I guess Fallen Tiki wanted to celebrate our milestone too. All right. Okay, let's check her IVs. And she is plus res, I will take that. But I was saying that I am so appreciative of this milestone because I really never thought that I would do anything with my channel. I just recorded my voice while I was pulling, and I never thought that it would be anything, and I never thought that anybody would actually want to watch my videos. And I'm still doing it after all this time, and I'm just so thankful that I kind of found a little bit of a voice in this platform, and I just appreciate you guys hanging out with me for like 20 minutes every 2 weeks. I really appreciate it. And so I will continue to do this for as long as I'm able to. This is really just a hobby for me. I do have a full-time job, but I do this for fun, and I love you guys so much. So thank you for all the time that you've spent with me. So now that we've gotten all like the sappy stuff over with, we can go ahead and answer our viewer questions now. And as always, if I did not get to your question, I am so sorry. I will try to do it in a future one. And if you think of a question you want to ask me, just leave it in the comments with #question, and I will put your question on my list. So our first question today comes from Wheaties, and they ask, who would win in a fight with Xander, Chrom, or Claude? So while I do love them all, I think that Claude would have a clear advantage because I think that he is the most intelligent. While they're all very powerful characters, I think that Claude is definitely the most intelligent, which would give him, oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, we got Legendary Sheeta. I am so happy to see her. And we get a blessing. Let's check IVs. Oh my gosh, she's plus defense. I am super, super happy with that. So we will just keep going with this lucky question from Wheaties. And I was saying that I think that Claude would win in a fight because he is probably the smartest. Maybe Xander is like the strongest overall, but he kind of makes some poor decisions sometimes, so maybe that would backfire for him. And I think that Chrom is maybe a little bit smarter, but he's also very impulsive. So at the end of the day, I think that Claude would probably win, although I do love them all. But thank you for that very lucky question. So let's go ahead and answer our next one, and this comes from Zetabo. And they ask, who are your favorite Starville characters revealed so far? So I've seen a couple that I really, really like so far, and I think that Gepard is probably my favorite. I may be saying it wrong, but he has my favorite design. He's very handsome. But I also like Dan Heng because he reminds me of Zhongli. And the other one that I really liked right away was Branya. I think that she's a character from Honkai, but I immediately liked her design as soon as I saw her. But I am super, super excited to play it whenever it comes out, and I'm sure there are many more characters that I will love. But thank you for that great question. And let's go ahead and answer our next one. And this comes from CryoWolf33. And they ask, which character would you like to see out of alt/seasonal alt hell as soon as possible in Fire Emblem Heroes? So I think the ones that are the biggest for me are Caspar and Felix from Three Houses. Oh, and Sylvain as well. They are all seasonals, and I think they're really great characters, and they deserve to be in the normal pool. So those are definitely ones that I would love to see. But aside from Three Houses, I feel like Inigo should be here. I think that he's an important character, and I know we have Laszlo, but I actually do prefer Inigo. And I know we have his alts, but yes, Inigo is definitely one that I feel like should be here. But thank you for that great question. And let's go ahead and answer our next one, and this comes from Oscar or Ozzy. And they ask, which Xenoblade Chronicles 2 blade is your favorite? Okay, so aside from like the obvious answer with Pyra, I think that Bridget is my other favorite. I think that her design is like the best in the game. She's super cool looking, but she's also super fun to play. She was definitely one of my favorites. So her and Pyra are 1 and 2. But aside from that, I also really loved Ursula, even though she was like a super pain to finish with her affinity. I absolutely loved that blade as well. But thank you for that great question. And let's go ahead and answer our next one. And oh my gosh, it's taking a long time today. Okay, this comes from Monado Max. And they ask, have you played Zero Escape Zero Time Dilemma? And if so, what were your thoughts on it? I know it has a lot of gore and violence that you love so much. And also, what were your favorite and least favorite characters from that game? All right, so yes, I have played the whole Zero Escape series. And I have to say that out of the 3 games, Zero Time Dilemma is probably my least favorite. Partly because of the gore. I'm like a huge chicken when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like, I see super gross things with my job like all the time, and it's like fine. But when I see it in games, like for some reason, I I can't handle it. So I really don't like the gore. But aside from that, I do like that they kind of wrapped up the series in a neat little package. But the graphics were also super rough. I really miss the style from the first game. And I think that the writing was not as good as the previous games. But overall, it gave us answers, and I appreciate that. But that's kind of how I felt about the game overall. And as for my favorite and least favorite characters, my favorites were Sigma and Luna. I think they were the best written. And my least favorite were definitely Mira and Eric. I did not like either one. And just kind of as an aside, Junpei and Akane were characters that I really loved from the previous titles, but I really didn't like what they did with them in this game. But overall, I do like the characters. But I guess that kind of does cover everything with that. But thank you for that great question. And let's go ahead and answer our next one. And this comes from Moon's Future. And they ask, have you played or heard of the Tales of series? So yes, I actually did play one of the games in the series. I played Tales of the Abyss, and I loved it. And I feel like there are only a couple options that are available on Nintendo platforms. And there is one, I think, on the Switch that is on my list of games to play. but I have such a huge backlog of games right now that I'll get to it eventually, but it's not like my next game to play in my list. So yes, I have heard of it, did play one, and I really did enjoy it. But thank you for that great question. And let's go ahead and answer our next one, and this comes from Corey Fusting. And they ask, in regards to the GBA games, what do you think would be more likely to happen? The 3 GBA Fire Emblem games reissued as a collection on the Switch, or the games being added to Switch Online? Oh gosh, you know, I don't know if they would do either one, but if they did end up re-releasing them, I think that they would do them separately so that they could make more money. I feel like that they are all great candidates for remakes, and so maybe they would release them separately so that they could maybe do remakes later. But if we ever get them on some form of Switch, I think that that's what they would do. But thank you for that great question. Okay, Smoke. Please, please, please be Claude. It's Linhart. You know what? It is a Three Houses character, so maybe we're getting closer. All right, so let's go ahead and answer our next question, and this comes from Ben FM. And they ask, this is probably a hard question to answer, but can you name some of your least favorite characters? It could be for their wasted potential or for another reason. All right, so there are really a number of reasons why I don't like certain characters. There are some that are just like kind of straightforward, like Makalov. He is a terrible person. I really have never met anybody that loves Makalov. Or like FE4 Hilda, she is horrible, pretty objectively. So those are characters that I really don't like for very obvious reasons. But then there are some that like I don't like them because I've pulled them a million times in Fae, and they're just like annoying to pull, like Gaius. But then there are other characters that are like fairly popular within the fandom that I know I'm going to get hate for talking about them, but I just don't like them. Like Sumiya, I think she is a character that a lot of people really love, but I honestly think she's super boring. I don't like that she's like the canon pair with Chrom when Cordelia is like a million times better. And because so many people like are so vocal that she's amazing, it kind of makes me like her a little bit less. And I kind of double down, which, oh my goodness, we got Bramamont. I am so happy to see him. That's amazing. And we get a blessing. Let's check IVs. And he is plus attack. I am so happy with that because now I don't have a bad IV one. So let's get back to this very lucky question from Ben about my least favorite characters. I have to say it's kind of childish of me, but when people talk about how great a character is and I don't like them and I don't get why, I kind of double down on why I don't like them. So it's kind of the case with Sumiya, and also with a character like Edelgard. I know a lot of people love her. I get why. She's not for me. I also don't like Hubert, and I'm also not a huge fan of Charlotte. And I know I might get some hate for that, but I have to be honest. It's how I feel. I don't want to be fake about it. So yeah, those are some characters that I really dislike. But thank you for that very lucky question. Okay, please let this be Claude. Okay, 3-star. And we get a Lachesis. All right, so we're going to back out, and I'm going to turn my phone upside down because clearly that has been my mistake all along. Okay, it's still not working. But maybe this is a Myrrh, who knows? Okay, Smoke. And we get a Noe. Kind of close, but not really. All right, I know it's silly, but we have to take that one final chance at Claude. Eventually. And we're not going to get it, but we'll just keep our fingers crossed that this is a Myrrh. Okay, Smoke again. Nope, it's Abel. All right, so we hit our 40 and it's been a Claudeless session, but the good news is that we can spark for one. I am so happy that we're able to do this at some point. The game is taking a super long time today. And I know exactly what we are doing. We are taking this Claude. Yay! Oh my goodness, I love this character so much. That art is just perfect. We just need 2 more now. We get a blessing, and we get the thing. All right, so I am going to go ahead and end things for now, but I cannot promise that I won't go back for those last 2 copies. But I am overall pretty happy with how this went. I got 1 Claude, and I got Sheeta, and some other great stuff too, and I really hope that you guys were just as lucky. I do want to thank all of you that submitted questions. I really, really appreciate the support. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.
I have to believe this path leads to the site I dream of seeing. You've had your fun. Ha! Ready or not, here it comes. Ha! Ready or not, here it comes. I won't back down.
Face your mortality.